Hi everyone, welcome to the 9th episode of Phenomenal Woman Wednesdays. I am your host, Dr. Saran Nataki. Thank you for joining. Welcome to Power 365 Phenomenal Woman Wednesdays. This podcast will address issues ranging from what is a phenomenal woman, are you enough, community service, paying it forward, the manifestation of dreams with words and action, the power in being a woman, the men who support phenomenal women, fashion, and much more. Stay tuned. Hello, welcome back to Phenomenal Woman Wednesdays. I'm so glad to have you join me today. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about having a balanced life, work-life balance, and what to do if you have lost yourself and you just really find yourself not really having a balanced life and there is just absolutely no time for you. So, if you have listened to any of the previous podcasts, I have touched upon my own story in terms of having had a lack of balance in my life with respect to work. And so today I'm just going to give you a little bit more detail about that and also share with you what I did that worked for me in regaining life balance for myself. So first of all, it is summer. So I think that this is the perfect time to plan and to think about, how you're going to balance your life. Summer is a time, I know we have the New Year's resolutions that we put together at the beginning of each year. But I think summer is a time of true regeneration, really recharging your battery, taking the time that most people take vacation, time off, to really reconnect with their families and themselves. So I think this is the perfect time to have this conversation. So first of all, just a brief overview of my own story. So I am, I have a really strong work ethic, I can say. I have, held 2, 3, 4 jobs at a time, even more embarrassingly, at any given time, just to, and not because, I can't say it's because there was this dire need to have to work so much. And that's another podcast that I will address why I was working so much, really in terms of my personality and what it was doing for me, in terms of distracting me from certain things that I just really didn't want to deal with. But anyhow, I was doing it. I was working, you know, at an extreme level, I think. And one day I woke up and I realized that I just really did not have any time for myself, zero time. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, and I have had to provide and care for my parents at different points in time and even currently with respect to my mother. And I have been raising children for a very long time, decades. And so I have a very large family, and they range in age from 26 to my youngest baby is 7. And so that gives you an idea of how long I've been parenting. And at the same time, I've also pursued a career in an education. And so, with all of that, it takes time to really be able to invest in every facet of your life. And so, anyhow, at one point, I realized I just really did not have any time for myself. And I also realized that, quite frankly, I was making an exchange of my time. So the more time you spend, I'll speak for myself, the more time I would spend working, the less time I'm spending at home. The more time I spend at home, the less time I'm spending working. The more time I'm spending, you get the idea. You can't be in 2, 3 places at once. And so I began to be uncomfortable with that exchange. And I'm certainly not judging anyone else who is comfortable, because everyone is different and their needs are different. And what really fortifies each woman is so different and varies from woman to woman. However, for me, I was really uncomfortable with the exchange that I was making in terms of not only how much time I was spending working, but and just really maximizing the time I had with my family. I always put my family first. But because I maximize time for my family, and because I have such a a strong work ethic, I had no time for myself. And once someone asked me, I think it was my husband, what, you should get a hobby. What do you want to do? I couldn't even answer the question. I had no clue what I would want to do. Like what would I was like, me, what I like to do. I don't know. I just really did not have it. That it was not. There was no space for me to even develop a thought on what I would want to do if I had, the time to do it. And so, anyhow, um, I hit a wall one day with that type of, work life arrangement. I just could not go any further. I also had some other things happening. I ended up um, with this rash that, no one could really explain. And then, I went into, see my physician, and, I was just talking to her, and it was kind of like one of those things where someone asks you, how's your day? And I just spilled like, oh my gosh, this, just kind of went on. And she says, okay, I think what, the issue is here is you're under a lot of stress. You need to put together a plan on how you're going to relieve stress for yourself. You need to take time for yourself. And, this will, resolve itself. And so I did put together a plan. So the first thing that I did was extract myself from that current arrangement. And for me, it was more of an immediate extraction that was necessary, because not only did I have the rash, my blood pressure was elevated. At the same time, I had a lump in my breast, and there were all these things happening at once that were really telling me, Saran, it is time. Time is now for you to make a change. It cannot go any longer, with this arrangement. And so what I had to do was address those health issues, and not just put a band-aid on them, but I really did have to relieve the stress factor in my life. And primarily that was between being a mom, and being a daughter, and my work schedule, and and being a wife. That requires, I had to feed my marriage, and keep everything good between myself and my husband, and spend time with him. And so what was not negotiable was, my parenting. I could not put that on the back burner. I could not put my mother on the back burner. I had what her needs were her needs, and I really had to be there to provide what she needed. And I could not put my marriage on the back burner, but I also had to fit myself in. So you understand the dilemma I was in. So the one thing that I could extract myself from, luckily, was the volume of work that I had. And so I immediately rerouted projects, and at the time I was working as an independent consultant. So I did have that flexibility. I do certainly understand if you're not in that position where you have the flexibility to make an immediate shift. But even if you don't have that type of work arrangement or flexibility with your work, it might be time to just take leave. Sometimes you just have to make an immediate hard stop. And anyway, that's what I had to do. So I made that immediate hard stop. And then what I did was I held myself accountable to making time for myself and not taking on anything else. Because by that time, I did realize that I was kind of distracting myself a bit. And so I told my husband, I said, look, for 6 months, I am only going to do this one thing in terms of work. I'm only going to do this one thing and this one project, and that is it. And I am going to just, sit in that. And after a 6 month period of time, I will revisit. And he, agreed to keep me accountable to that. And there were times during that 6-month period where I was anxious, especially at the beginning. At the very beginning, I didn't know how to sit still. It was so uncomfortable. I was sitting there and I just started feeling so, I don't know how to describe it. I just felt um, like out of place, like I needed to be doing something, like I'm wasting time. And I wasn't wasting time. I was taking care of myself. I started taking a yoga class, and amped it up to at least, I was going 3 times a week, and it was very helpful in terms of um, forcing me to have time with myself, forcing me also to have self care. And in many ways, it was also an opportunity to fit in additional meditation and just really clear my mind. It served an amazing purpose for me, because and it helped to contribute to lowering my blood pressure from what it was at that particular time, and resolve some other. Well, I don't know if it was solely responsible for resolving the other physical ailments that I was speaking about, but those things also resolved. The lump actually resolved itself as well, thankfully. Um, Anyhow, but what I don't. Who knows what that would have been had I not made that change or that shift in my life. So um, I had to listen to my body. So anyhow, I started to do that, and what I discovered is that I actually did have personal interests that began to surface. I began to get to know myself. I wasn't just moving all the time, moving from A to B to C to D, drop the kids off, pick the kids up, sit down and do the, computer. Okay, go check on my mom. Okay, well, go, it wasn't a constant movement. I really had time to actually think about what I wanted to do and really get in touch with myself and remember who I was. I began to be funny again and tell jokes, and I wasn't robotic. I actually had a personality, and I was enjoying myself, and I was, in the kitchen. I always cooked dinner, even when I was really, really super busy. But I was actually, it wasn't mechanical. It was, I was enjoying it again, and creating again, and just really, being in touch with myself. So that period of time really was helpful. And then after that time was up, I was able to take on additional, based upon my agreement with myself, I was able to consider taking on other things. But what changed, it wasn't just taking on work, it was taking on my passions. I decided that I would not take on anything that I really didn't enjoy, or it didn't fit in with the lifestyle that I needed to have, the relationship that I needed to have with work to be able to wear the different hats in my life, in terms of my responsibilities and obligations to my family and to myself. So that was different as well. I realized I had an obligation to myself, and I was unwilling to give that up. I had to, whatever I took on had to fit in with my obligation to myself, amongst all of those other things. Um, so what I would say with that is that if you're in that position where you are constantly moving and you have not been able to figure out how to find time with yourself, and you're just really frustrated, and I think any career mom can relate can relate to this feeling. It becomes very you almost begin to feel a bit hopeless, like this is it until whenever, until I don't know when it would end. But anyhow, what I would say is the first thing to do is find time to think. If whether it be like I did, making that hard stop where you have to take time off, Or if it's just making sure that you commit to, it could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, and that seems so minimal and short. But to a person with very little time, having an hour or 2 hours a week is like a gift. So even if it's, just finding, start with, bite-sized increments of time, just to allow yourself time to think. Allow yourself time to think, and meditate, meditate and really connect with yourself. Get to know who you are again. Then I would say after you have had some time to think and really evaluate, what you want and what lifestyle really would be more realistic for you, put together a plan for change. Put together a plan. So whether it be, maybe, that plan would include a career shift. Maybe that plan would include, working half part time if that's an option, or 75% of the time, or 80% of the time. You might find that even if, your job is really, really contributing heavily to your household overhead, the income that's coming in, you really rely upon your income, then you might find that even working 80%, 4 days instead of 5 days a week, may not cause such a huge shift in what you're taking home. So just, explore those options as well. And then the next thing to do is to prioritize yourself. You have to have self-care. Find something that will allow you to care for yourself. It could be as simple as taking a walk initially. If you were like me and you just have no clue what you really like, just find time to walk. Find time to walk. Sign up for a yoga class. Make a trip to the gym, and if you're not someone who just, enjoys, I personally enjoy going to the gym and using the weights and whatnot. But if that's not something that you enjoy, then you can go take an aerobics class at the gym. Sign up for salsa lessons, or, something that will fortify you. Make sure you're taking time for yourself. The next thing I would say is to schedule time for yourself that no one can touch. That means that it has to be something that you do and only for you. It could be a nail appointment once a week. It could be anything. It could be something that you make up and you just, when your kids say, can I come with you? You just say, no, not this time. You really have to schedule time for yourself that no one can touch, just for you. Sometimes for me, depending on which evening it is and schedules and whatnot, it's just indulging in a luxurious bath. And I put sometimes I have my iPad going, and I might, catch one of my favorite shows while I'm, taking my bath, or I'm listening to an audiobook and I'm just relaxing and I'm putting my head back and just really just enjoying the moment. Or I just have silence and I'm just burning candles, and it's just time that no one can touch. And then finally, I would say take the vacation. For me, I live for the vacation. The vacation for me is so extremely important. I described to you, high level, some of the hats that I wear. And so for me, I look forward to the time where I can just unplug. And I have, it's not always, this luxurious vacation that I'm taking. It could be a staycation where, I'm renting a room at a resort on the other side of town, on the other side of, wherever. And I'm just there for a few days, disconnecting and just really taking time away from the hustle and bustle of life and certain responsibilities. And it could also be for some families. I'm personally not a camper. I have, thought about what it'd be like to go camping. I'm just personally not the camping type, I don't think. I think I could do like the glamping, but that's just me being my spoiled self. But some families really do enjoy camping. They have it down, they understand, they're not afraid of, the bears and the, all that stuff that I'm afraid of and whatnot. Funny story. So my daughter, her friend's family invited us to go camping with them one summer. Like, oh well, we should get together and go camping. We go all the time. And I was like, wow, that would be great, because I've been wanting to go camping. And I just want to also preface this: my husband served 22 years in the military, so he does have those those skills, but I'm not really interested in that kind of, I don't know. My idea of camping is a little different than even like what he might bring in terms of, roughing it on that level. But anyhow, so this family, so there's, we should get together and go camping. I'm like, oh, that would be awesome. That would be amazing. And so they go on to describe, how it would be. And they're a great couple. We really like them. But she's like, yeah, my husband brings his machete and his rifle, and we go out there. And I'm like, a machete and a rifle? What is that for? Well, in case there's a bear. And I'm just imagining us in this tent while this bear shows up, and he goes out and slays the bear with his machete, and he comes back, and it just was a little bit too much for me. So I am definitely not necessarily the camper, but anyhow, some families really enjoy it. That's just a little side humor, but true story. But camping might be an option. It could be getting a little beach cottage and staying there for a few days, or it could be taking that luxurious trip. Whatever it might be, it could even be a staycation. Now the staycation at home, there's a staycation where you actually rent, you go and stay at a hotel or resort that's not too far from home, and but you're still kind of taking time away, and it feels just like you're somewhere. So there's that. But there's also the staycation that you can take at home, where you're not leaving home, but you plan various activities and you act like you're just like you're on vacation. Every day you have a plan, maybe Monday is beach day. Maybe Tuesday you go bowling and go see a movie. Maybe Wednesday you go to the amusement park, etc. And so the key to the staycation at home is that you still have to feel like you're on vacation. You have to, commit to unplugging. That means that you're not coming home and, frantically doing dishes and laundry and such. You're not, tending to the house that week. Your focus is on unplugging, relaxing, taking time. It means that, not to say that you can't cook, but you're going to do things that are going to be easy on you. You're going to prepare meals that are quick and easy, just like if you're on vacation. You're going to be eating out. You're going to be having a good time, just exploring the city in which you live, but from a different perspective. Because how many times has it been like where there's something that's in your city and you just haven't ever been, but it's there, it's down the street. You don't even go that often because you kind of take it for granted that it's there, but people are traveling all over the world to come and do it, so that's the time to take advantage of those things. And it's summertime, get out, unplug, take the vacation. So that's Phenomenal Woman Wednesday for today. I really encourage you to, review those tips, apply them to your life. It is life changing. It really has changed. My life has really, really changed for the better once making that shift and really getting to know myself. And I'm here on this podcast. This was one of the passions that I had. So if I hadn't taken that time, I wouldn't be talking to you today. With that, have a wonderful Wednesday. Have a phenomenal Wednesday. To all the phenomenal men and women out there, take care. Thank you for tuning in to Power 365 Phenomenal Woman Wednesdays. I believe that every woman gifts the universe with her own strengths and unique characteristics. Simply because she is born, the universe benefits. Every woman is growing, learning, and evolving. On this channel, only positive seeds are sown, no matter how flawed the soil. Take care and have a phenomenal Wednesday.